used video game stores, because there's like PlayStation games like greatest hits, like with the green label.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get it without the green label, that's like the first edition pressing or whatever, and that's like
Oh,
more valuable because it's not
yeah.
like a reissue after the game sells well. It's
I
weird.
so I have a. I mean, I don't know if it's a first edition thing or what, but I have a pretty an early release of Smash Bros. Of Melee, um,
Oh,
because it was like one of the first GameCube games we got, and but that being, yeah, that might have been like my first, because I know we had a James Bond game. We got
yeah,
that like when we got it, but that might have Smash Bros. Might have been like my first game that was for like I probably got it for Christmas or my birthday or something like that, and
yeah,
I didn't like only having like the paper, like the N64 thing, not having like box it cart, like cases
yeah,
for
yeah,
games up to that point for me. Um, I thought like there's like the paper wraparound for the cover, and then that's surrounded by like plastic, and then that's wrapped
yeah.
in plastic for like the sealed at the store. So I took the outer layer out, and then I also thought that the plastic on the case was
Oh
like
no.
wrapping, and I was like, this is
Oh,
really hard to, but yeah, so I still have the case, but it's like just the paper.
oh man,
Yeah.
that's tough.
Yeah. I would say roughly, I don't know, we probably had like 20, 30 around there, like N64 games, maybe. That's an
Oh
estimate.
really?
And I would say 2/3 of those at least were like secondhand. Like we got an N64 in, I want to say like 97, 98. So after it had been out for a few
Oh,
years. And I don't know if it came with it. Like, because thinking of like this happening now, like finding a Switch like this with this, but
yeah.
because I'm sure it was like, uh, I don't know. I wonder if my mom or dad or maybe Travis remembers, but like we just got like 20 games with it. Like we got
Oh damn.
uh like Ocarina of Time, Quest 64, NASCAR, a few NASCARs.
Right.
That's how we got like a bunch of like random N64 games. But
Sports games.
yeah, a few sports games like Madden. I'm trying to think if we like GoldenEye, like we got that for that,
Right.
and
Right.
um, and then like some we got from like our Super Mario 64. I know we borrowed from some kids at church and just never gave it back.
That's how I got my Sonic and Knuckles cartridge.
Oh yeah,
Do you remember Cameron Womack? He was in my grade.
yeah, like kinda,
I
yeah,
definitely borrowed Sonic and Knuckles from him in like fourth grade.
nice.
Never got it back.
I think that's why I like. I mean, I would like it back, but like I think of, uh, I mean, the one that comes to mind for me is John dies at the end. I'm like, that's my karmic, like, justice for all the games and shit that I kept of other people's, because I know Super Mario 64 isn't the only one. I know there's
Yeah.
other things out there. Welcome back to There Will Be Duds. This is episode 80. I am your co-host TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always.
As always, I'm Nick, aka Dr. Vunk on Twitch. And
And
as
as
always, we got beef again. We got beef again.
cool. Yeah, as always, we watched a movie. Um, this the movie this week being The Act of Killing, from anywhere from 2012 to 2014, directed by Joshua Oppenheimer. And it is a documentary that follows a handful, but primarily an executioner who took part in the Indonesian mass killings back in the 60s, named Anwar Congo. He and others in the movie are initially approached to just kind of discuss their part in the mass killings, and then I guess the director or somewhere in the process, the filmmakers decided to allow them to recreate some of their killings in movie format. So they are kind of given free reign to sort of make their own movie. So there's kind of a movie within a movie. I determined about halfway through this that this is Indonesian war crime American movie, and Anwar is Mark Borchardt, and Herman is Mike Shank.
Hey, minus all of the terrible crimes and the gangster shit, Herman kind of rocks.
I was like, all the stuff that
Herman's kind of fun.
It was like, I don't know, like the third time he's like sitting around, like
Why
sweating
is
his
he in
ass
drag?
off, like dressed as a woman. And I'm
Why?
like, he's Mike Shank. He's just a homie.
Why do they keep making him dress up? You know what? I bet he insists on it, actually.
I wondered,
Because it's so consistent, and like all of his outfits are like extravagant and different for each thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this isn't anyone's vision but his. He wants to dress as women for some reason.
Yeah.
Which, like, more power to you. I'm not trying to be like, oh, dudes can't dress like girls, but like it's never addressed. He just dresses like women, and then that's his thing. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm coming in way too hot. We gotta let's.
Well, I was, they make their movies and or they make some movie scenes, and but yeah, it's about some major figures in this terrible mass killing fields from the 60s in Indonesia.
Killing commies.
Killing commies.
Communists.
Soulless communists.
I think I took more notes on this than I did for Ben and Arthur, which I think was like the most notes I've taken for it. It's usually the duds that I take a lot of notes, like the really good duds. Although actually, you know what? You say this is like the Indonesian American movie. I think this is the anti-Emperor's Naked Army Marches On.
Yeah, I wanted to get around to that movie eventually, because there is kind of some parallels, juxtapositions with that movie.
Some of these guys needed to get Kenzo'd.
Yeah.
Some of these guys needed to have Kenzo come and wrap his legs around them and drag them to the ground.
Well, I guess since you brought it up, I'll bring up the companion movie / sequel to this.
Yeah, I was reading about
that I was gonna bring up later, but it's called The Look of Silence, and I guess from how you're talking about this movie, maybe you would. I mean, if you enjoyed this movie or if you got something out of it, I don't know. I would recommend it. I think it didn't stick with me as much as this movie did, but it is kind of it's a companion piece in that it is kind of the other side of the coin, because it follows somebody who's, I want to say his parents were murdered.
I think it was his uncle. No, it might have been his parents, but I think his uncle was part of it. I read the synopsis. I did read like some of the synopsis of that.
And it's like, so he goes and he confronts. So it's like he's Kenzo minus the, the eccentricities and the violence. It's a more civil take than the Emperor's Naked Army, but it's kind of more in line with that, where it's a victim of this, who like goes around and questions people who took part in it, and it's good. Like I said, I kind of want to rewatch it after rewatching this one, but I just remember it not quite like hitting me as much as this one. But still a good documentary.
This one just has such a wild cast of characters, if you will. Yeah. Like, why can't I remember anyone's name?
It's also like it's also
Congo.
It's like it's American movie. It's an Indonesian American movie mixed with Tiger King if everybody was a murderer.
Yeah. I mean, Congo is such a like just I at a certain point I just couldn't get whiplash anymore. But some of the stuff that these dudes were just willingly and freely admitting to,
Insane.
like they were proud of it. Like I feel like how do I put this delicately? Like I feel like, you know, Donald Trump got elected and we're like, guys, we gotta stop fascism. And it's like you watch this movie and it's like, no, this is what like active fascism looks like. Like this is what like a right-wing coup in the 60s that's still active looks like.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the shit that they got away with, and they don't care about it.
Yeah.
They're just so boastful about it.
Like
it's crazy.
Like you like going to the movie theater and being like, yeah, and we'd go see movies here, and then we'd come out with some girls, we'd be so happy, and I'd be dancing like this, and he like dances, and then he's like, and then they walk across the street, and then he'd be like, and then we'd see some people over here, and I would shoot them in the head, and they would die. Like
yeah,
after going to the movies, like
we're like, yeah, we saw those movies with Elvis. Oh, we loved those movies. And then just like and then so anyway I started blasting like just, it's the you know, It's Always Sunny thing.
Yeah.
Sambil ikut, sambil sur, sambil ada goyang ini, goyang itu. Kadang-kadang cewek pun lewat pun kadang-kadang sambil sur berdiri, ya kan? Kita nggak peduli. Inilah kantor pemuda Pancasila dan disinilah selalu saya penghabisi.
Yeah, that was like one of my notes was like, it's just so funny the lengths that our government goes to try to present all of like the sort of seedy things that it does. Mm-hmm. Like they, you know, the CIA didn't kill JFK. It was Lee Harvey Oswald. He was a, you know, they come up with these narratives. They come up with all of these different like excuses for all of these grand conspiracy theories. But these guys are just, oh my God. I mean, I feel bad laughing at this movie. But like Oppenheimer, kind of, there's a few moments in the movie where he like talks to the subjects. Mm-hmm. And he'll be like, so what illegal activities do you guys get into? And it's like they pause. He's like, oh, gambling. Yeah. Good amount of gambling. And then he's just like, trafficking too. Like, they don't, no hesitation whatsoever.
Yeah. It is like, I guess, Emperor's Naked Army in that way too, where it's like every, like, I want to say, I watched, so I seen this movie once more. I think I enjoyed it a lot more this time. The first time maybe I was trying to kind of like grasp it as a whole, and like now that I kind of knew where it was going and everything, I like kind of took each scene as a like on its own, and kind of every single scene in this movie was like, I thought like I was really invested in it, and like there's so many beats where you're just like watching and you're like, fuck, dude, like. But it like Emperor's Naked Army, where it's like it's a super serious, like dark subject matter, and yet, like you said, like you're kind of laughing at a lot of it too. Like, and
at
some
a certain
of it,
point,
some
it's all
of
you
it
can
is,
do. It's all you can do.
Yeah, some of it's like laughing because it's funny, and then but also like laughing because it's so horrifying too.
The one scene where the one guy was telling them the story about his stepdad who got taken in the night and they found his body under an oil drum.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, like he's just telling a funny anecdote.
Yeah.
Ya kami tanam kayak kambing aja di kilometer 0 itu Bandar Puluh untuk menuju ke Sigura-gura itu. Di situlah aku tanam itu. Kami tanam. Berdua aja sama kakek ya, nggalin lobangnya gitu. Kayak mikul-mikul berdua aja sama kakek itu. Enggak ada yang berani.
And then he's like, I don't mean this as a criticism of you guys. I think it would help your movie.
Yeah. And
like this real thing that they did to his stepdad. He's like, yeah, this will go well, you know, in your movie.
And then their response is like their way of kind of like deflecting, I guess, or something, is like, they're like, yeah, if we included everything, this movie would never end. Not like, oh yeah, that's kind of fucked up, or like, oh, like trying to skirt around it. They're just like, they're really just thinking of it in terms of like how it would affect the movie, and they're like,
they're natural born Hollywood producers. They
Yeah.
know exactly how to like talk him down and you know kind of give him a half deal bargain to get his thing. You know, to kind of make him happy, but also not promise him anything.
Yeah.
Kita berjanji tidak mengurangi apa-apa.
Maksudnya yang kita buat ini kan sudah
Sudah planning kan.
Nggak habis-habis cerita tiap daerah ada sejarahnya kan gitu kan.
Karena kalau itu kan sangat ruwet dia. Itu makan beberapa hari itu ya.
There was a scene, I guess, an example of like laughing because it's funny. There's a scene where he's like one of the guys who was like, I think he was a newspaper publisher who like was like, you know, doing like propaganda for the
Oh yeah, we'd lie
Pancasila.
if we wanted to make the commies look bad. We just lie.
Yeah. But there's a part where Anwar's like one of the old guys, Adi, like shows up, and then he's talking to Anwar.
This guy.
And they're like, Anwar's like, "Oh, do you remember Sadoun?" I think is the guy's name. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember him. He's kind of that like funny looking guy, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Yeah. Oh, I wonder whatever happened to him." And then Anwar's like, "He's right over there." And then like the camera turns and the guy's like right behind him, just like listening. And that felt like something that would be in Arrested Development or something like that.
Dude, Adi wasn't in this movie as much, but I feel like he was one of the most like bone-chilling characters because like Anwar is kind of, I think I called him a Colonel Sanders motherfucker earlier because in like the beginning he's like they're recruiting children to be in this reenactment of like a village burning, which we see later and it's horrifying.
Yeah, because like kids are like actually traumatized by it.
Yeah.
Like crying.
They're recruiting these children, and I think Herman is like trying to teach one of the kids how to like scream and cry like, "Oh no, you're burning my house down." Mm-hmm. And it's like he's really getting into it.
Yeah.
And like he's wailing and crying. And it just like there's this one part where like the camera kind of moves and you see Anwar standing in the background and he's like wearing white pants and like a white jacket and his white hair, and he's just like smirking.
Yeah.
Like, "You piece of shit. You Colonel Sanders looking ass." Oh.
And how upfront they also are about like just calling people fat and ugly to their faces like it's nothing.
Yeah,
like,
they say that to one of the kids.
Yeah.
And like all the other,
Like-
he's like, "Oh."
and I think he's even like, "Oh, and it'll be funny because he's ugly" or something like that. And then he tells that to Herman too. He's like, "Yeah, no one would even be interested in you because you're ugly." And then like immediately after that, they are dressing Herman up as a woman again. And
There are some pretty comedic smash cuts that I think are definitely meant to be funny.
yeah,
But Addy, I think,
Yeah.
because like I think the original point I was getting at was that I think Anwar is kind of more of a silly figure. Like, you know, he'll talk about something horrifying and then he'll do like the cha-cha.
mm-hmm.
Like he shows him on the rooftop where they used to just kill people, and then there was too bloody, so they started using like wire around the neck because it was easier.
Yeah.
And then he just starts dancing up there. But Adi, I think Adi is scarier because I think he's much more restrained and like calculating, because it's like he's almost like not on board.
He does seem
has,
a
like,
bit more apprehensive or like worried that it might not be.
Because Anwar deep down, I think, you know, I mean, you know, not to rush to the end of the movie, but at the beginning, Anwar doesn't seem very remorseful at all. Or if he does, it's like very, very vaguely alluded to. It's like, yeah, I have nightmares every once in a while, but he, you know, deep down, he probably knows that it's wrong. It's like they're almost like polar opposites.
I
He
think,
knows that it's wrong, but he
Yeah.
presents it in a way that's like, "Oh no, I enjoyed the killing. It was great. I was good at it."
I mean, he says fairly early on that like, yeah, I would just do drugs or drink to like stem the nightmares. So
Yeah. But he does it in this like playful way.
Yeah.
You know, like he's kind of joking and laughing about it. Adi, on the other hand, doesn't feel bad at all, knows that it's wrong, and has zero remorse.
Yeah.
But he is also aware of the fact that, like, the communists were not the cruel, threatening presence that all of their propaganda made them out to be.
That's the thing. There's a particular scene where they shoot it, and then they're like, oh, I'm kind of worried with how this scene is presented that it doesn't, it
Are
makes...
we the baddies?
Yeah, it's basically that. And then, like, they're all kind of like, well, yeah, they aren't that bad, but we gotta, like, keep up that facade, basically.
Mengapa mesti sejarah itu disimpan-simpan? Orang belum kenyataan memang gitu gitu. Itu memang yang diminta.
Bukan hasilnya keyakinan luar. Keyakinan saya selama ini tidak benar. Bukan PKI yang kejam.
Iya, memang itu ya apa?
Saya sendiri sependapat, kan saya udah bilang. Tapi tidak semua kejujuran yang dapat menjadi konsumsi publik. Saya percaya Tuhan pun juga punya rahasia. Kita sadar sekali, kita kejam.
Okay. Yeah, Adi is like I agree. He says he's not, but there's some lingering things, and it's a documentary, so you can kind of read into any of their reactions or like the like cutaways to them just like watching in any way you want. But there's bits where I'm like, I think it maybe not remorse, but I think it affects him more than he lets on, for sure.
You can't do any of that shit without it affecting you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you say. If you kill that many people in that manner of fashion, like, there's no, I don't believe you if you say that it doesn't affect you. It's no, impossible.
But then something I took note of is that, like, he's in the car and Josh, the director, like, asks him, like, how do you justify that? And he immediately is like spitting facts. I was like, shit, dude.
I was like,
he's
man's
like,
got a point.
He's like, what about Bush and Guantanamo Bay? And I was like, oh, shit. And then he's like, what about the Americans exterminating the Indians? And I was like, fuck. He's like, who gets punished for that? And I was like, who gets punished? And I was like, tell.
Saddam Hussein had weapons, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
He's not. Yeah, right? It's like, hey, like, that doesn't mean what you did was okay, but, like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, take me to Geneva. I'll go, bitch. Take me.
He's like, we'll do the Jakarta convention and we'll all be innocent. He's like, who gives a shit about the Geneva Convention? It's like, I mean, you can't fault his logic in that regard, at least. In
like,
that
yeah.
scene, like, he is on fire.
There was another moment that sort of reminded me of George W. Bush, and I don't know if you've seen this clip, but I think you should insert this for context in the edit. But there's a scene, I don't know who it is. I don't know if it was Adi. It was someone golfing, and they were just like, they were basically like talking about killing communists, and he's like, yeah, we killed them. They sucked. Can I hit the ball now? And then he drives. It makes me laugh my ass off every single time, and I don't know if you've seen this, but it's like a video of George W. Bush, I think pretty early on. It was like after 9/11, but it was still early to the point where, like, people still kind of liked him. Mm-hmm. But there's, like, he's on the golf course with his dad, and a couple people, like, pull up. Just, I don't know if they're like paparazzi, who they are, but they're filming him, and they ask him a question about something.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
It's surreal.
Shit.
To watch him do his, like, post 9/11 George Bush shit, and then the way the smoothness in his voice, it makes me think that he's aware that he's kind of funny when he's just like,
damn.
Now watch this drive.
Does he nail it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's fucking awesome. That's I
gotta stop the terror.
I I have zero issues with that. That's fucking
It's so
awesome.
goddamn funny.
In a vacuum, that's fucking hard. That's so cool.
Men would literally rather commit genocide than go to therapy. There's like the scene where I think Adi tells Anwar to go to therapy about it, and Anwar's just like, nah.
Yeah, and he's like,
They'll think I'm crazy.
yeah, and he's like, it's not for crazy. They do nerve stuff too. It's like, I mean, honestly, that's kind of more like supportive than like guys would be about that stuff over here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Other than the terrible war crimes, Adi's kind of based.
Yeah, yeah. Another, I guess, Tiger King comparison. I thought the way that I was thinking of it was like, it's hard, like Tiger King, it's hard to pick like a worst person here, but I think I gave the Doc Antle Award to the extortionist and child rapist. I don't even remember what his name was, but he's that fucking scuzzy little piece of shit who just like, you see him go around and he's like, oh, I hate the Chinese. And then he like goes into a Chinese market and he's like, give me money. And he's like, I'm asking nicely, give me money. He's like, this isn't enough, give me more money. And it's just like, he's just doing it because like they're in power and there's nothing they can do about it. And then like later on, I think it's during the scene
where they're doing like the burning the village down or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's talking about like, you know,
if there were women here, I would rape them. Just
Yeah.
like,
and he's like, and if you
and
get
everyone's
one
like,
that's,
ah, ha, 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 ha.
yeah, and he's like, and if you get one that's 14 years old, you know,
What does
fill
he
in the
say?
blanks.
It's
I don't
like-
even like.
He says something like, it's gonna be hell for you, but it's heaven on earth for me.
Yeah, that's
It's like,
yeah.
holy shit, dude.
Yeah, like compared to the other guys, he has like some of the least screen time, but by golly,
None
does
of
he
them are
make up
really
for it.
redeemable, but he's the most like irredeemable,
right?
I would say.
Yeah, you don't get any sort of. I feel like Adi and Anwar are the only ones that you really get some kind of. Anwar especially. I think that maybe is why he's the central focus, is because he has an arc throughout it. You see, you know, they begin and end the movie with the rooftop scene and like the contrast between those. And that's kind of what I mean, like knowing where it's going and being able to kind of track his journey from that just like silly dancing, talking about murder, into like sounding like me on top of that roof, just like gagging and coughing, like retching, like those like horrible sounds, and like he can't even like finish the sentence.
They got Tom Pearl to come in there and do this ADR.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
At that point, though, okay, I mean, we can maybe talk about this like in a little bit, but we both watched the director's cut. Yeah, 2 hours and 38 minutes of this.
Yep.
By the end of it, I was like, so, like, I don't know. I understand that like Anwar probably did legitimately feel like regret for what he did, and I don't think he was like faking it.
No, I don't either.
But also, I was just like, when he's like, oh, I can't do the scene anymore with the wire. Oh, I now I understand. Now I know what they felt like. And like, I don't know, the huge balls on Josh to just be like, yeah, but it's not the same because they knew that they were going to die and you were acting. Like the fact that he like corrects him a few times in the doc to remind him that like, no, you don't have the same frame of reference because like none of these unspeakable things were ever inflicted to you. Like, I don't know, man. Going to like a country where like the government can just do shit and you're like kind of telling him his business a little bit. I was like, oh my God, that's scary.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, when he's like crying and he's upset after watching that scene, like they're like Goodfellas ass like interrogation scene, and he's like kind of crying, and then I'm like, I'm so sick of seeing your gay ass movie. I'm so tired of you guys. I hate you pieces of shit. Like, I got so tired of these guys where I'm like, I don't feel bad for you at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
fatigue.
It's an interesting. It's a really kind of fascinating feeling that I get watching this movie. It's pretty unique in that fact that, like, you know, he doesn't deserve forgiveness. He doesn't deserve like sympathy. And I don't think that the movie is saying that at all. I don't think it's trying to be like, hey, feel bad for this guy. But you're still
I don't think they are.
It's like, it's almost like it's really relieving. It's a
cathartic.
relief to see, like, to see them like somebody express grief, like act like kind of like a person when you're talking about this stuff. Like, yeah, that is how you should feel. You should feel terrible. You should be crying about this every day. You should have nightmares about this every night. And yeah, it's like not sympathy for him in particular, but it's like you still kind of, I don't know. I really don't know how to describe it, because it really is like, it's like you feel like you deserve it, but also like it's also just like not a good feeling. I don't know. It's but yeah, that scene is really, really affecting, where he's like, have I sinned, or was I justified in what I was doing? And he's like, yeah. And then like what you said, like, did those people feel the way that I felt? And like what you're saying, and he's like, no, it was worse. And he's like, I don't see how that's possible, or something like that. He doesn't say it exactly like that, but I think he's saying like he can't like picture it or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to have a certain degree of no empathy to carry out the things that he did. So it's like, it's not surprising that like this, like doing a shitty Godfather routine is what it took to get you to like understand this.
Yeah, and that's what, like, knowing that that's where it's kind of going, like it's like after 2.5 hours of just like unrelenting like pride and boastfulness about this horrible shit, it's like, oh, thank fucking God. And then like, yeah, having seen the movie before and knowing that, like, you definitely see here and there leading up to that, there's multiple moments that you see that kind of crack with him. And then yeah, Herman, I'm not 100% clear if Herman,
I don't think
I feel
Herman
like
is like old enough
young.
to take part.
Yeah. I think he's just part
like,
of the paramilitary group, so he's just
because
involved.
they're still active, so I think he's probably just attached himself to this guy, because he's like, yeah, this guy rocks,
or he just wants to make a movie or something like that. I don't know.
Can we talk about Herman running for parliament
and watching the Barack Obama like campaign speech?
I had to pause it when it's like him in the car with the megaphone campaigning, and he's wearing a Transformers shirt.
Oh, was he? Is that what that was?
It was like, what are the good Transformers?
The Autobots.
It wasn't. I think it was like the Autobots logo, like on his
that's
shirt.
Fucking awesome. I didn't notice that.
I had to pause it, because that was like, it was like the only thing that I noticed.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Because like I was looking for like some of that weird, like Americanized shit, because you do see like a McDonald's in like an establishing shot, and I think when they're walking around in that little market when he's like threatening the Chinese people for money, you see like a SpongeBob, like like a fanny pack or something like that. But
or like there's the guy who has all the like autographed like celebrity shit, all that stuff. Like there's definitely some. And I was kind of like thinking like, you know, the anti-communism stuff. I was like, yay, westernization, you know.
Yay. One of my notes was Ron Howard voice. Herman was not elected to parliament. I sent you that picture because that was probably the biggest laugh. It's like showing him doing this campaign shit, and then he's just like laying shirtless, and the text pops up and says Herman was not elected to parliament. I was like, damn, Josh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That is so cold to do him dirty like that.
Yeah.
the influence of The Godfather. I don't know if you have much to say about this, but like The Godfather really did a number on these people.
Just
like
with how they kind of do their business or whatever.
Because I think of like all of like the mafia stuff that's out, I would say like Goodfellas or The Sopranos is a much more accurate depiction of like crime mafia shit rather than The Godfather. Because I'm the guy who wrote The Godfather, and I might be butchering this, but I'm pretty sure before that book / movie came out, the mafia they were morons. They were idiots. They didn't know how to run shit. And then that movie came out, and it gave them like this weird sense of legitimacy. Like they thought, like, oh, no, people think we're cool. Like they started adopting shit from The Godfather, like into their like mafia activities because like they felt like it gave them like legitimacy. And it's like these guys are so, it's astounding that they still have power because they're so dumb. They're so stupid. But it's like the influence of like The Godfather. I was just like, these morons, these idiots.
Yeah, it's just, it's I don't know. They're the guys who have the guns and they can indoctrinate people because they like make them watch that anti-communist movie from like a young age. I was like, yeah, I'm glad that America doesn't indoctrinate our youth in any way.
Yep. I mean, it's a rote point to make, but like I couldn't help but notice that they basically are doing everything that they accuse the communists of doing. Like the communists steal your land and they steal your money. And it's like, meanwhile, it's like juxtaposed with this guy walking through his little mansion of like rare crystal dolphins and like a billy like big mouth bass that he loves. Yeah. It's like but I think that was like the most affecting moment of the movie was like, it's like him talking about all of it's like, oh, this is a rare one. I spend a lot of money on this one. Oh, this one's nice. This one's also rare. And it's like, yeah, we really, he's like, I hate, like, we won't allow them to protest or like dissent. We'll break it up. It's like they can't be too powerful. And then it just smash cuts to like the ghetto, and there's a little kid sitting in the middle of the road in the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a handful of those.
And it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. I was thinking that too, like with how like lavish some of those are. It's like you increase the divide that we have here, a certain amount of degrees more, and you've got that. I mean, you even have that juxtaposition in some like major cities in America. Like microcosms. But so I mean, of course, well, I almost said like people aren't like openly like waving guns around in public, but I mean that's not even necessarily not true here, but it's not, I'll say it's not quite as they're not openly admitting that they're gangsters here and criminals here, but
sorry, gangsters, do you mean free men? They're
oh yeah, right.
Men.
Yes, free men. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is a sort of similar idea where it's like these dumb guys, these like 3%ers and like the Proud Boys and all that shit. It's like, do you know who you're caping for? Do you understand that like if it were up to like the Republican Party, like you could get fired at will and you would make pennies on the dollar? Like they don't give a shit about you. And like you're fighting for like this idealized version of a country that like hasn't existed for like 50 years.
Yeah.
This is like this is like a textbook example of just like of a like successful, like what a successful coup into like a fascist state looks like. Mm-hmm. And like I think I was reading like a Wikipedia article, and it led me to like an article that's like the banality of evil. And it's like life kind of moves on in Indonesia. Like this, it's like this like there's like shops, people live there. You know, there's like people driving cars and like shopping. There's like malls and shit, but it's just like this presence that's constantly like looming around the corner of this paramilitary group that can kill you with impunity. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. This movie has me like manic. It's like it's the same feeling I had with Emperor's Naked Army, but like negative, because none of these people are redeeming and they're all vile people that should be dead. And I know some of them are. Congo's dead. I know that.
Yeah, Congo's dead at this point. Yeah.
He's a real Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
From the side profile, though.
Yeah. I was like, when he said Sidney Poitier, I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, I can't see it. Sure. Yeah, I had settled at the end of the movie that I think because it opens and closes, and also like one or two other times it goes back to it, the like women dancing around like the giant fish. I deduced that was it was all just a callback to the Big Mouth Billy Bass scene in the guy's house. That's my theory for that.
Let's see. The other thing that I think the last thing you see of Adi, though, and I think this might be the most infuriating like thing, was the juxtaposition. So it was him, and I think it was his family, just like walking around a mall.
Yeah.
Like it could be a mall anywhere. Like, you know,
it looked
malls just kind of have that look where it's like that could be, you know, the Mall of America.
In Michigan.
Possibly. No. But it literally starts. It says like footage of him walking around in the mall, and the first thing he says is, "Yeah, we shoved a wooden stick up his anus till he died." And it's Adi talking about all of these methods of killing people and torture, and he's like walking around getting an Annie Ann's pretzel with his family in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's heartbreaking how frustrating it is to know that they walk around openly and they don't care. Like, they don't care who knows. It's there are a few moments like that, because like I think for the most part, like Joshua Oppenheimer kind of leaves it like fly on the wall for the most part. Like he kind of lets them do their thing. But like in the edit, there's a few like choice edits where it's like you kind of know how he feels about these people. He couldn't explicitly say it, but he can show it in the editing room, you know.
Yeah. I wanted to read there's a little blurb on the Wikipedia about like some of I think it's mostly Herman and Anwar's like reaction to seeing it. He said Oppenheimer said that Anwar, after watching it, started to cry. Tearfully, he told me, "This is the film I expected. It's an honest film, a true film." He said he was profoundly moved and will always remain loyal to it. Oppenheimer went on to say that in the call with Congo, he also came down on himself, saying, "There is nothing left for me to do in life but die." Oppenheimer, seeing Congo so moved and almost ashamed for what he had done, said this to him: "You're only 70 years old, Anwar. You might live another 25 years. Whatever good you do in those years is not undermined by the awful things in your past." He said he felt it may have been cliche, but he felt it was honest in all he could manage to say to Congo. But apparently there's, you know, of course, most people like involved with the Indonesian government or paramilitary over there are not fans.
No, can't imagine why.
In part, so it's kind of weird how the credits. So it says directed by Joshua Oppenheimer, and then also co-directed, but they're like separate. So I don't know like why there's a difference. But then it says co-directed by Christine Sin and Anonymous, and the anonymous person is an Indonesian who is anonymous because if they knew that who he was, he would probably most likely be
Did you
killed.
did you watch all the credits?
Yeah, there's like a lot of anonymous.
49, I think the Wikipedia
49.
article said. There's like 49 credits to anonymous.
Damn. And I'm pretty sure the main subject of the Look of Silence is also anonymous, and like I don't think you ever really see their face or anything in it.
Yeah.
For the same reasons. Yeah, because it's still. I mean, they're not doing mass killings, but it's still kind of, it's still a present thing there for them.
The vice president of the country like openly went to like a rally and was just like, yeah, we need people, because if everyone worked for the government, it would all be bureaucracy. Nothing would get done. So we have to rely on people outside of the government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, yeah, the thinnest of veneers there or whatever.
Yeah. The other thing, I wrote this in like capital letters, was like the shit near the end, like the weird song that they're Born Free that they're doing, and you see these two guys pretending to be communists. And they're like, thank you for executing us and sending us to heaven.
Yeah.
Atas eksekusi yang saudara lakukan terhadap diri saya dan mengantarkan saya ke dalam surga. Untuk itu saya ucapkan ribuan terima kasih atas
And I was like, man, they're really trying to make me stop this movie in like the last 10 minutes. Because I was like, come on, man.
Yeah. I wonder if that was, that seems like maybe an earlier thing that they just presented later, because I'm like, I feel like late movie Congo would maybe take that back. I don't know. He definitely had,
his
like, his
hair
ups
color
and
did
downs.
change a few times.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think to like make him look younger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What
if he was playing himself or whatever.
What was the shit with him in the bed? It
Like,
cut
just, like,
to it
laying down.
It cut to it a few times. Was it supposed to make him look contemplative?
Do you mean where he's just kind of like laying in his bedroom or whatever?
Yeah. At one point, he's got like these little, like, they look like little chicks.
Ducks.
And it's like bouncing on his chest. Every time I saw an animal on screen, I was terrified.
I was at first.
Every
but then
single time.
After a few times, I was like, oh, these guys can't be that bad. They all like love animals. So
there's like the duckling that had the broken leg, and I was like, I swear to God.
I know.
Like,
I was really worried. But they hate people, but they were really not.
Apologize to the duckling. Make the duckling feel better, and know that you.
But not communists.
Oh.
But I was like, yeah, those were like moments where I was like, oh, thank God, because I was like the same thing, because it'd been a while since I'd seen it, so I didn't remember a lot of the specific things, and I was like, oh fuck, does he fucking kill that or what? But then nope, he's just like apologized to it and give it a pet, and I was like, oh, thank you.
and then like the cow, I was waiting for the cow to get lit up in like the village burning scene. Which was like horrific.
Yeah.
Just like, even because it's like in the back of my mind, the people that they probably got to pretend to be like communists from then are probably the descendants of the actual communists who got killed.
Yep.
So they're basically being forced to like re-traumatize themselves by like living out the deaths that their family members had to go through in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's insane. It is insane that like they made them do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the same thought, especially during the village burning scene. Yeah.
It's like, and they linger on it. Like, they linger on everybody. Like, they show everybody, like, laying face down in the grass, like, dead. And then it's, like, you see the fire. And then it's, like, it holds on it. And then it's, like, cut. And everyone kind of starts stirring and getting up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're... Whiplash. Just so much whiplash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's another part I just thought of is like like that sort of comedic juxtaposition is they do this a couple times in the movie where they'll show the subjects like watching something that you just watched, like watching a scene that you watched in the documentary or as a part of their movie. And I think it's the first one that he does, and he's watching, it's Anwar watching the first time he's on the roof, and he demonstrates like choking the guy with the wire, and he's like watching it, and he's like, I never would have worn white pants.
It looks like I'm going to a picnic.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's your issue with that scene.
Costuming.
Karena pada waktu dulu saya tuh nggak pernah pakai celana putih. Tak pernah saya pakai celana putih. Saya tetap pakaian hitam, gelap ya, coklat, putih. Ini kan ini pakaian piknik ini.
They're like so bought into like the Hollywood filmmaker brain. They're so just like deep in that.
There's got to be like a Operation Paperclip for Indonesian guys that like they all get roles in like Hollywood as producers.
Yeah.
They're like, damn, you guys committed atrocities, but you're sharp. You get it. You understand. You know how to trim the fat off of production.
It definitely,
that guy telling his story, you knew exactly how to handle him.
Yeah. It definitely feels like they were like trying to get their roles, because there's like a few people like that. I think it's maybe that same guy who was like laughing, telling the story about his stepdad or whatever. They're doing a scene where they like kill him. I think it's the same guy, and he's like crying, and he has like snot dripping out of his nose. Like, damn, these guys are giving like 110% with this, like all these roles. They're fully invested.
Herman was like kind of a good actor in some of those scenes.
I thought, yeah, they were.
I was like, damn, you kind of gotta hand it to him. He wasn't like, I mean, obviously they can probably pull from real life experiences for this shit, but like, yeah, Herman was like pretty good in some of those scenes.
Yeah, is that like they just tap into like their repressed emotions about all the things that they did, and then like as soon as the scene's over, they're like, yeah, it doesn't bother me though. I don't care.
They come out of a fugue.
Yeah, just like, yeah, whatever.
Let me know if you also thought of this when they filmed Anwar's nightmare sequence.
God.
My note was Indonesian Vince Noir.
Oh wow.
The guy who was like, I
could see that being a Mighty Boosh character. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh damn, the spirit of jazz is coming to haunt Anwar Congo.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that was so fucked. That was so freaky.
His teeth were like, okay, you know what? I don't know if Indonesia is like a third world country or what. Like, probably a lot of like dentistry isn't probably offered to a lot of
prosthetic?
people. I couldn't tell.
Oh, okay.
I could not tell.
I thought it was a prosthetic. It might not have been.
Speaking of teeth, I thought it was funny every time like they went to film a scene, Anwar was like, I better get ready, and he pops
no.
What was that shit with the thing?
I thought you were gonna say the pliers. Oh,
what was he doing?
God.
Was he just have a dead tooth? He's just picking at it?
Yeah, I don't know. That was oh my God, that was like making me cringe so hard. He
was like not reacting either. He was just like,
because it probably is dead, because he does that all the time. He's just like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought you were gonna say Phantasm. That was where my head went at first. With
yeah, a little bit. He's like laying in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's just like, that's how they do like spirits over there. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the most frustrating thing is that like there are so many parts of this movie where it seems like they're so close to getting it. They're so close to understanding like how they come off and like the terrible shit that they've done. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, before the village burning scene, like for the movie, they like get all whipped up into a frenzy. They're like, yelling like, yeah, kill the communists. And then as soon as it stops, that one dude was like, but also, that's not really how we roll. Like, that's not how we do things, though. Like, he's trying to, like, maintain this illusion of legitimacy. Like, we're not just for the screaming movie. Savages. We're just doing this for the movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's how you want your perception to be.
Yeah, because he's like, yeah, I want you to know that, like, we don't usually get that worked up. We're more controlled than that.
Yeah.
But he's like, but don't erase the footage because I want people to see that we can get like that. And I'm like, so what the fuck are you saying, dude?
Like, yeah, they want their cake. They want their cake and to eat it too.
Yeah.
But it's just like so many times where they almost come to like self-actualization and realize it. And then it just kind of cuts away and it's like time to film another fake strangling in the jungle. Time to eat some rotten raw meat.
Oh, that was gross too. He's like, that's his Tom Pearl moment because Herman's like eating it and then he's like, ugh, like right in Anwar's face.
And then I feel like right after that, there's another scene where someone's like, I feel like we give this perception that we're crazy and we drink blood. Like, we just want to fight and kill and drink blood. I was like, hey, maybe don't film propaganda movies where you're, like, saying, I'm eating your penis and rubbing it on the decapitated person's head as you're, like, licking the blood off of a liver and his penis.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want the impression that you're drinking blood, there's a few things you can do to prevent that.
Or like calling the place where you kill people the Office of Blood. Like, it's kind of in the name, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm spent on my notes. I'm spent.
Yeah,
I don't know.
too.
What else you got?
I don't know. I honestly, like, I think we had our time, so I'm good with going on. I feel like, to me, I could talk about like every scene in this movie pretty much.
It's crazy. Like, we gotta do like a Duds commentary track where like we watch it and comment in real time.
And we're just like, oh hell no, like. And then when
Herman,
it gets to the
Herman looks kind of good.
Yeah. And then when it gets to the audio scene, we're like, oh fuck, he's spitting though. Like. So yeah, I guess I'm good with going to scores, but I know this is gonna be one where I'm gonna be like, oh man, I forgot about that thing. But yeah. we should go.
Yeah. I don't remember who went first last time. Was it you?
Yeah, I did. So it's your turn.
Okay. Oh, these types of movies are hard to rate because the subject matter is obviously like just some of the cruelest and most awful shit that humanity has to offer. Mm-hmm. But it's also just like a distillation of that, like a very frank and honest conversation about it that I feel like is very rare that you don't see. Like, the anti-Emperor's Naked Army point is like, this is the Emperor's Naked Army. All of those dudes were so hesitant to talk and they were so ashamed of what they did that it took a geriatric man rolling around on the floor to try to get them to like admit to anything. And then you have this movie which serves as like a document of people just admitting to like the worst atrocities that humans have ever inflicted upon each other. So, I mean, with all that being said, I feel like I'm at an 8. I would have rated it higher, but there's like a few things that, maybe in the 4-hour-long cut they could have gotten to. And I understand that this movie is mostly about Anwar and Herman and like this paramilitary group that's still active there. But I feel like, and maybe this happens in like the follow-up movie, I feel like we don't really get a lot of perspective of the people that are directly affected by all of this. I feel like we don't
definitely
really
watch the Look of Silence then.
because like the few moments that kind of took, because like it's not haha funny, but it's like this is
No.
the craziest shit I've ever seen, and it's about to be it's going to be trumped by something even crazier in 2 minutes type of like funny where you're just like, I can't believe any of this. But the most affecting parts were where it cut to like the everyday real life for these people who were affected by this. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I could use like another 2 hours of just like other people who like have to live with this shit. And then the other, it's like basically I docked it for 2 points below a 10. And the other one that I docked it for was, I feel like they didn't talk about like the Cold War aspect of it, like killing communism, and like it's alluded to that you know, the CIA and America were like super into funding a lot of these guys and training them and sending them weapons because it's the Cold War and we need to stop communism, baby. And I'm pretty sure, you know, like based comrade Adi said, you know, we probably had a hand in this. Like, we absolutely had a hand in this.
Yeah.
So it's like, if Adi has to go to the Geneva Conventions, so do we. So does George Bush. And, like, if they had gone down that thread, I think it would have been interesting, you know. Should have made a trilogy of documentaries all about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm taking a breath. 8.
Okay.
Take it away.
Yeah, but then based on everything you said, I would recommend. If you got like anything out of this movie, I would recommend the companion piece. But yeah, definitely based on what you said, yeah, you should check it out, because I think maybe that would give you a bit more of that other side that you're looking for or whatever. I went with a 9.5. I'm super close to a 10.
Damn. Okay.
And it's because, like I said, like, I thought every scene was engaging. I was into it. I love the journey of just seeing, like I said, it's super cathartic to see, like, Anwar's somewhat, you know, like regret, like those scenes where he's like, you know, the whole thing of like, oh, did I do this to people, blah blah blah,
Have I sinned?
That's
a hard like.
Here, I'll pull it up. I have the quote page up. So he says,
Tapi aku dapat merasakan ya perasaan mereka yang disiksa, karena jelas ya di sini ini apa namanya, marwah habis, harga diri kayak kehabisan, semua rasa takut itu datang. Pas waktu begini, nimbrung dia sekalian memasuki dalam tubuh itu, bang, nimbrung sekalian masuk dalam tubuh.
Jelas, apa yang dirasakan orang yang disiksa Bang Noir jauh lebih buruk dari ini, karena Bang Noir tahu ini hanya film. Mereka tahu bahwa mereka akan dibunuh.
Tapi saya merasakan, ya, benar-benar saya rasakan. Atau saya mungkin, saya itu apa dosa sama saya? Banyak ya, Yos, manusia yang pernah saya bikin gitu, Yos. Apakah ini kembali dia kepada saya? Mudah-mudahan jangan sampai, jangan. Nggak mau saya, Yos, yang beginian, Yos.
like I said, it's a weird mixture of feelings that this, you know, the final act or what have you. It's not like a super you know, 1, 2, 3 act structured movie, but
Yeah.
I think I'm super into it. I could take, I was getting towards the end of this and I was like, man, I could keep watching this at this point. It's incredibly entertaining for, like, on a bunch of different emotional levels. fascinating subject, horrifying subject, but that, you know, it's got that weird sweet spot of like horrific, and somehow like there's the funny bits, the emotional bits. It kind of hits everything. It's one of those that's just off the mark of being a 10. It's kind of like how Dagan said, like, I think he said that like with Amadeus, he gave that one like a 9.5, I think, and he said, like, I just don't fuck with it on that level. And that's kind of what this is for me. It's like it's just off of a 10 for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. Apparently, I'm trying to find this on the thing. I guess I don't know where it is. I thought it was on the Wikipedia, but apparently, because it won like the, I think it won BAFTA for like best documentary, and like in his acceptance speech, Joshua Oppenheimer was like, he like said America and the UK should like,
yes, I did read that.
Admit to their part in the, like, in what happened. And then I guess that part of his acceptance speech was like omitted from the broadcast or whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely something that innocent people do.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, I guess that gives me a little bit of comfort that I think Joshua knew. He knew that, like, you know, they weren't just buying these weapons from anybody. Like, it's definitely, you know, they were being funded.
Yeah.
And, you know, being trained.
Yeah.
Never gets old.
Yeah. Speaking of never getting old, here's the ad break. Boom. Are we back?
I thought you were going to... What?
Are we back?
Yeah, I'm thinking we're back.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't do anything this week except watch The Act of Killing 5 times, so...
Well, watch it once a day.
Yeah.
Like Howard Hughes style in your room, naked on an armchair. The glow of the TV, the only light source.
Mm-hmm. With my little duckies on my chest. Eating raw meat.
Well, viewers and listeners, we're at the time of this recording, we're still in the Christmas season. So
basically Christmas
sorry
Eve.
that it's sorry that it's January and we're still talking about Christmas stuff. But since you didn't really have anything this week, we watched a couple Christmas properties. Mm-hmm. We literally just got done watching the Santa Claus, the Tim Allen vehicle from the 90s, which, yeah, I get why people might not like it now, but I have those 90s kid nostalgia glasses, and it's just, it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I forget how long of a build-up it is. Like, at one point in time, we paused it, and it's like, there's only like 30 minutes left, and I was like, holy shit, how are we this long into the movie? I don't know. It's like the shit with him, like, knocking Santa off. I guess maybe when you're like a kid, like, time moves differently, and you think that, like, certain things, you're like, oh yeah, no, that one scene's coming up, right? And then it's like 30 seconds. It's a 30-second scene and it's done.
Yeah.
But, like, as a little kid, it's, like, so memorable that you're, like, waiting for this scene to happen. But it kind of felt like that, where it's like, it's a tight 90, so, like, I mean, it's very well paced, but it just flew right by, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I think every time I watch that movie, because we probably watch that one every December. Like, we watched it earlier this week or last week or something.
I saw your Letterboxd review, and I liked the framing device of, like, an H.P. Lovecraft, like, story.
Yeah.
Of, like, the loss of identity.
Yeah, like, when you think about it in that context, it is kind of, like, terrifying, because it's not like it's
like
not
a
like
parasite taking over a host.
That's what it's like. It's not like he's like, I learned to be a better dad and a better person, because, like, yeah, he is kind of a workaholic dad, but he is, like, a good dad to his son. He's just can't always be there, I guess. But it's not like most of these movies where like, you know, the dad like winning back his family, where he's kind of like shitty and neglectful.
Yeah.
It's just like he's just kind of neglectful. But yeah, it's like the whole time he's like resisting it. He's like, I don't want to. They're like, well, you have to. And he's like, but I don't want to. I have a life and everything. And they're like, well, too bad. Now you're fat and you have a beard and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Also, maybe I missed it. Isn't there a scene where he takes a magnifying glass and like they read the little details of the card that's like the binding contract?
Yeah.
Is that in second one?
No, it's in that one. They repeat that gag. So in this one, it's like the thing that he pulls out, and then it's like there's a it just looks like a border around the name, but then
maybe
you
I
do
wasn't
the
paying
magnifying
attention.
glass, and they do that. And then in the second movie, they like take the card out again, and then they do like a double magnifying glass, and it's even smaller print.
Oh, maybe I just wasn't paying attention, or like I was on my phone or something, but like I don't remember that scene. I don't know if it got cut or what, but I don't remember it happening tonight. It was really weird. I'm having like a weird like Mandela effect kind of response with this movie, I guess. But it does fall into the like divorced dad canon.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I guess the only other movie I can think of was like Liar Liar, where it's just like the cardinal sin of the stepdad is that he's kind of lame.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like Judge Reinhold, Carrie Elwes, they're like totally decent guys that are like down to earth, but
Mrs.
they don't,
Doubtfire,
you know.
There's another one. Family Man.
Oh yeah, it's Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
But you know, in Liar Liar, like, but he doesn't do the claw, so it's like he's gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. And some of them, I want to say, maybe it's this one. No, is it Mrs. Doubtfire? I feel like I watched one of these recently where I was like, oh no, the stepdad's like a really good guy, and they shouldn't like.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense that he's like the dad now. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely Liar Liar. I think Carrie Elwes' character is basically like, he's totally supportive and understanding, and is like all around a good guy, but he's just not funny like Jim Carrey is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So off with his head. And then earlier today, we made some chicken noodle soup with star pasta. So we're feeling like little kids today, like the little tiny star guys, because it's like, you know, blizzard conditions here in old Michigan. And Chloe's like, let's just watch an episode of Bob's Burgers. And do you watch that show?
No.
Have you? No? Okay.
Like maybe an episode or two. I don't know.
It's pretty funny. I like it. It's a lot of the early seasons are like really good. It's pretty consistently funny.
Yeah.
But you know the basic premise though.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. We watched like, because I think episodes are still coming out. So like on Hulu, one will drop a week. But their Christmas episode came out this I think last week. And we watched it today, and like out of nowhere, that this Christmas episode got like sentimental in a way that I wasn't expecting the show to go, in a good way. I don't mean that like in a bad way. Like Chloe and I are both just sitting there like, it was like this, because like the premise of the episode is like all three kids have some sort of like Christmas pageant type thing going on, and it was like Gene has to do his like xylophone concert. Tina is like part of a play, and then Louise, like the kind of the bratty middle child who's very sarcastic and sardonic.
Oh, I thought she was the youngest one, but that's Kristen Shaw's character, right, with the rabbit ears.
Yeah. Yes. She reveals that a poem of hers got selected for like a library reading, and she kind of tells them that she only wrote the poem, like she wrote a poem about that includes the word poop in it because she wants it to be on public record that she read a poem about poop at the library. It's like she kind of she guises it as this like very sarcastic, very Louise type thing. And so the parents have this existential crisis about which pageant they're going to go to. Oh my God, you go to this one, you film it so we can watch it later. I'll go to this one. And they don't even realize that Louise's poem has been selected. And then it's just, all three moments kind of converge in a way where it's like, I don't want to give like the full episode synopsis, but basically Jean's music teacher has like an appendectomy, so a substitute has to come in and she doesn't know anything about music. And so she's like trying to get these xylophone kids to figure it out and she doesn't know anything and it's like kind of going terribly. And so they make it more simple and like they remove a few like of the marimba blocks from the xylophones. So they only have like 4 or 5 notes to choose from. So and they're very like harmonic notes or something like that. So they start playing and it's like this marimba thing and like the strings, string arrangement hits. And then it turns out Louise had actually, it was like a MacGuffin where she told her family that she wrote a poem that was like, who picks up the reindeer poop? And then it turns out she actually wrote like a real poem about how much she loves her family and her parents. But it's like all three of the storylines converge and the music is playing and like, Tina ends up making it to the poetry reading and hears it. And it's like, it was just this like moment in the show that just, it hit me in a weird way. So it was good. The Bob's Burgers seasonal episodes are pretty good.
Yeah.
Like we watch like the Thanksgiving ones, in November. There's some really good Thanksgiving ones, but like the Christmas episode this year was pretty damn good and filled my belly with Christmas cheer. And then I watched The Act of Killing. I had a trauma sandwich tonight. We watched the Bob's Burgers thing. I watched The Act of Killing, and then we watched the Santa Claus. Like I just had a palate cleanse,
Yeah. What was I gonna say about Santa Claus? Oh yeah, it's like it's also just weird because like I of course have those nostalgia glasses for that too, but it's like it's just the H.P. Lovecraft thing is just how he doesn't like. It doesn't feel like he wants to be Santa Claus. It's just forced on him, and
he starts getting memories implanted into his mind,
and a much it's not like Ernest Saves Christmas. Like Joe Carruthers, he's kind of like selected by Santa.
2 similar movies
because he has like the tendencies and he like gets it's kind of like it is kind of like, well, yeah, if you don't accept it, Christmas dies, but it's still like a thing that he chooses to do. And then like an even better is like kind of origin story is Klaus, and that's why I was bringing this up again, is because I want to get around to that. Because you saw that too. And I absolutely love that movie. That up with Muppet Christmas Carol and Die Hard, if you count that, those are my top 3 Christmas movies. Easy. I think Klaus is fantastic.
Yeah. Another one that was just very, very affecting in a very like genuine way. Like the way that it told the story and everything was just it was crushing, but in the way that a big bear hug is crushing.
Yeah. There's the moment, I'll say, when I first saw it, and then like it still kind of gives me goosebumps the couple of, like, more times I've seen it. But the moment that like the movie is just full in on its sincerity, and that's like kind of what's so great about it. And there's a moment where it hit, and I was like this movie's special. Like I knew I was gonna love it. It's when they deliver their first toy, the like hopping frog, to the little boy, who has, I mean, like everybody's parents are grumpy and whatever, but he has like that really, I think he like chases him off of his lawn with like a gun earlier, and then Klaus and Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Some other
Jesper.
That's right. They're like looking through the window, and there's like that sweeping shot going through the room as the kid's like chasing the frog, and the music swells.
Yeah.
And then it like settles on their faces watching through the window. That touches my soul. It's so good. And that movie's just full of those moments, and it's so wholesome and great. And then like it's the like times after that my rewatches, I'm like, I get right up to the ending and I'm like, oh, maybe it's not gonna make me cry this time. And then you get to that, like the final line, I'm just like, no, fuck, I'm done. It's like, and then I get to see my friend again. I'm like, oh.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that, I mentioned that I think both years, but it's next year that or Die Hard is our Christmas movie, I think.
Ooh, yeah, no, that's good. You want to know something crazy about the Santa Claus? Also, one more little factoid. The dude who directed it, I don't know his name. He has like a Tim Allen thing.
Like a fetish?
The guy that directed the Santa Claus also did 39 episodes of Home Improvement.
Okay.
He did Jungle to Jungle.
Nice.
And he did like all of the episodes of Last Man Standing.
Wow. Damn.
So this is Tim Allen is this man's muse.
I was gonna say, there's some like auteur directors who have, like Scorsese uses like De Niro or DiCaprio a lot. This guy just Tim Allen.
I think politically he also aligns with Tim Allen because he also did a shitload of episodes of Roseanne. So Roseanne and Last Man Standing, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of feel you know what? I know where you stand on some issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, Jungle to Jungle. I haven't seen that movie probably since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
That's a JTT one, yeah?
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't think so, though, because I always think that, too, because it's
Sam Huntington.
Sam Huntington, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. From, like, Detroit Rock City and shit.
Oh, okay. Martin Short. What? Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, no, because I thought that before. I'm like, no, it's just because Tim Allen's in it. It's not JTT.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready for?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Ba-ba. That was easy. That was an easy cut pull. Okay. It's different. I watched this one fairly recently. So and I talked about it on the show actually, so this will be interesting. From 1962, directed by Herc Harvey, we'll be watching Carnival of Souls.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, I talked about it on the show. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's an easy short watch, so I'm not too mad about that. I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right.
And I believe I want to say I watched it on HBO. So
okay.
We'll say it's on Pluto at least. Pluto, Tubi, Amazon, Plex, HBO.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's on a bunch of stuff. Cool.
Hell yeah.
Cool. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for Carnival of Souls, if I didn't spoil it when I talked about it a handful of episodes back, watch it before next episode. These come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on Twitch and YouTube in video form, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more in audio form. We also have socials on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, asterisk.
No, he reversed that. We can post on Linktree.
Oh,
we can
yeah,
post
yeah.
outside sources now.
Okay, cool.
It still sucks.
Yeah. And that's about it.
Oh, have fun with this.
Well, I don't have to dig too deep for this. I am your
Do you have some war crimes you need to admit?
I'm your co-host, TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always.
As always, I was not elected to Parliament.
Oh, damn.
AKA Nick, AKA Dr. Funk on Twitch.
Damn.
That needs to be the YouTube thumbnail, is his big ass belly on the bed.
I was double thinking my sign off was like, is that too insensitive? But I'm like, no, fuck him. He's dead. Who cares?
Yeah. He died at like 82. He lived way too long a life.
Yeah.
Dusty ass bitch.